Um, I am looking at two different screens, so forgive me if it looks like that sometimes. As many of you who are welcome here, we would love to be able to see you face to face if that's possible, and if not, we understand. People take Zooms from all kinds of places. Believe me, we've seen people in all kinds of places on Zoom. I want to welcome all of you. Most of you I know or I've spoken to. I'm Rabbi Amy Roth. I'm the director of the religious school. I want to welcome David Wolf, who's, I know where he is on my screen, but I don't know where he is on your screen. And he is the educator and parent liaison, Kulanu liaison, sorry, and is a great partner coming from Bethel. Jamie Cohn is here. He's everywhere, and he's here, and he will be helpful if anybody has specific questions that we know Jamie knows answers to most questions. I see Rabbi Stecker is here. Welcome, and lots of other people. Some people are just coming on. Carol is here, Carol Tannenbaum, who's the admin at Temple Israel, and a lot of you know her anyway, but if you don't yet know her, you might know her because you've gotten emails from her. So now, here she is,
used to it.
face to face. Yes, so I'm happy to see people are joining, and I welcome. So I figured what I would do is, hi Seth, I would give my, kind of an intro, and then really open it up for questions. Because, hi Rachel, because I think more than anything else, a lot of people have questions, and some of it might be specific to your own child, and I might say, let's talk separately about it. We've been doing a lot of outreach to families during this time, which is a time full of the unknown, a time full of uncertainty and a little bit of craziness, where, as you know, if you are a Bethel parent or a Temple Israel parent, you know that religious school registration is always before this. And the fact that we got it out 2 weeks ago was a big, big effort, because we were waiting for a lot of different pieces to fall together. So that being said, pieces are falling together. It's an ongoing process. So what I'm telling you is based on whatever we have today. As you know, situation with the public health situation could be subject to change. But as of now, there's a committee, a Temple Israel reopening committee, and part of that committee met and made it a school reopening committee. And part of that committee, some of those members are medical professionals, epidemiologists, other kinds of medical doctors, as well as our various synagogue leadership and professionals. And together with them and the CDC regulations and just the best practices of what we determined that are going on in the Great Neck school system, and really in a lot of other places, we were able to put together this plan. And the plan, I will tell you, I'll give you the big picture of the plan, and then some motivations behind it and some other details, and then I'm happy to just take questions. The plan, our 2-day-a-week religious school is going to still be 2 days a week of education. 1 day a week in school, in the building. The 1 day a week in the building is Sunday mornings for kindergarten through 3rd grade from 9:30 to 11:30. Tuesday afternoons for 4th grade through 6th grade, which is 4:30 to 6:30. And that is going to be the day that is when teachers get to know the children get to know the teachers and one another. It's a day for a lot of Judaica learning. In the fall, what does that mean? That's a lot about the holidays. That's kind of a given. There's a lot of review, but there's a lot about the holidays. It might be at the other parts of the year, the various other pieces of the curriculum for each particular grade. And there will be tefillah, prayer, and bits of Hebrew that are in part of that day, but the main part of the Hebrew is going to take place on the other day. So the in-school day is that piece, and that's really important in terms of chemistry between teacher and children. Children, their chemistry, some of them have been together for many years, some of them go to public school together, some don't know one another. And even though it's a new reality in what a classroom dynamic is, that is not working on group projects the same kind of way, there's still going to be that important social aspect and connection and community. Just will take on kind of different forms. So that's the one day. What's the second day? The second day is either Sunday or Tuesday. Oh, I just want to welcome Rabbi Tara Feldman from Beth El, who's another important partner in this whole venture. The second day is if your child goes to school on Tuesday afternoon, it is Sunday morning. It's the same schedule, the same day as we at Temple Israel have had already, and I've heard from a lot of families is very important in terms of their planning. If your child goes on Sunday morning, the second day is Tuesday afternoon. What is that second day? It is a semi-private, meaning your child and another child and one of the teachers doing pretty intensive Hebrew on Zoom. And the length of it, I think some of which will have to do with the age of the children. Between 30 and 40 minutes, I think, is optimum, and longer than that, I think, is probably too long. But I think they can get a lot done. Teachers can really gauge progress in a small group. Children can't hide or hide their faces or not read, or it will become another kind of interpersonal dynamic. Most of the time, or much of the time, it will be with his or her teacher. So there's already that connection, and that's an extending that connection. But we don't have enough teachers for that, so I also have a few other Hebrew teachers. David Wolf, who is among his many roles here, is one of his roles will be helping in the Hebrew part of the remote learning for some of the kids. So I'm just throwing that in because he's here. And that is the composite of what the 2-day-a-week learning is. It's both, and I'll go back a little bit to some of the process and some of the thought that went behind the creation of this model. When we have half of the grades on one day and half the grades on another day, we're more. It is in terms of the crowd control in the building, in terms of the social distancing. We are in a much better place. Them coming fully masked with taking breaks like they will in public school, 1 day a week, we can make it doable. 2 days a week with in full masks, sitting at desks 6 feet apart from one another, and really there will be movement. We'll take walks. We'll use a lot of outdoor sites while we can. There are some tents and canopies that one tent is already set up, others that will be, and we will do hopefully have tefillah groups out there, as well as just other times that teachers can take kids for walks or to continue a conversation or just to take a break. They will move around as a class. They're not going to be, there aren't going to be, so many of you who have been part of Temple Israel before know we had monthly big Rosh Chodesh celebrations every month with cheering and screaming and dancing and whatever. So we're not going to be able to do that. We're going to celebrate Rosh Chodesh in different kinds of ways that I'll get to later, but the community celebrations will not be the same. The kids who would be lining up to read, to get prizes in the hall and smushed all together, that is not going to be either. But there'll be other ways that we can, within the classroom, create the kind of vibrant, exciting community that is part of what we look for. It's about what they're learning, but it's also about what they're feeling. Many of you have heard me say that before. And I think that this combination takes into account all of the protocols and restrictions that are upon us, as well as what we think is for the best case scenario for the children's learning and their social emotional health, where they can be together, but then we can also have like a semi-private time where it's really could be like the very, very effective qualitatively in terms of the Hebrew. I want to speak a little bit about what are some of these protocols and what are we going to be doing in the building. And please, I will not talk very much longer. I want to take questions, but so I said they will come in masked. We have a lot. Jamie can tell you how many gallons of hand sanitizer that are in the building and that will be placed all over the building. We will be doing temperature checks with these things, that very fancy temperature checkers that we have before they walk in the building. The day before, probably, or the night before, you'll get either a text or an email, depending on which service we go, which would just be yet a further screening, making sure your child is healthy, and all of that, and encouraging you to keep your child home if there has been any exposure or any symptoms or fever. There are some other regulations in terms of non-essential people being within the building. And that means, I would never say that about parents, but parents do belong in that category, that parents are not going to be walking children into the building. That is also part of our early childhood plan. So you can imagine that's just like a much more dramatic thing even than for our elementary school kids. We will have teachers, Carol, David on Tuesday, Joy from Bethel, and various other teachers. We're going to be outside greeting children, giving them name tags, doing the temperature, and then we'll have other people in the hallway guiding them to their classes. But at this point, that will be part of the game. In terms of the logistics of what does drop-off look like, what does dismissal look like, what kinds of things they can bring with them, that I will be addressing, like not tonight, at a later time, but that is definitely, you know, one of the pieces that we're working on. I have other things to say, but I see some hands, so why don't we take some questions, and then I will be happy to go on. Alana, you had a hand up and you muted yourself. You can unmute yourself. You're mute.
She has to unmute herself.
Alana, yeah, she'll. Yes, you got it.
I actually held my hand up to suggest that people go on mute if they're not speaking, but I actually do have.
Okay. Yes, good idea.
So you said that sixth graders come in physically on Tuesday and Sunday they go remote, right? So did I understand you correctly that on the remote day they only will have a 30 to 40 minute session? And that,
I mean, it may be 45. I don't think it's longer than that, though.
And there will only be 2 kids in that virtual session?
Yes.
Okay. And yeah, go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for demonstrating the muting also, so good
and
job.
Also, if I could, Rabbi Roth, in our conversations, just so you know, this is Rabbi Roth's vision as we begin. Hopefully, as we go through the year and the situation changes, we'll be able to evolve into a more traditional, on all levels, religious school and spend more time with the kids. And of course, Rabbi Roth has put in place mechanisms so that if there is a change where we have to retrench to do more online, that'll also be in place. So this is just the vision so that we can start in the most effective and successful way.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, because everything, I mean, even a month ago, I mean, things change very quickly. Of course, it is my hope that we can be together in person more. But I also want to make mention of the fact that I've heard from several families, as we've been doing a lot of outreach, who are opting out of the in-person in the public schools and want to know if there's a place for them to opt out of in-person in the religious school. And I just want to say that I'm working with a few of them because I want them to, those children to be part of Temple Israel and to have the Jewish education. And if they're opting out or for a handful of, right now it's like 2 or 3 total, I'm working with them. So I just want to throw that out there because I don't want ever anybody to think that this is it, it's in person, and if you're not comfortable for whatever reasons, even though we're following every single rule and regulation, that there's a little flexibility, but that I think if you can see your way into having your child be there in person, it will make a big difference in terms of the connection to the teacher and the connection to the other children. I saw what it was like in the spring when we got on Zoom, and believe me, we didn't know what we were doing on Zoom, and I know a lot of you will agree with that. And we did the best we could, and I think we did the best we could. There's been a lot of learning since then. You know, you should just know that there was nothing out there in the world of Jewish education about virtual learning. Very little, especially for like elementary age kids. There's a lot that's evolved over the summer. A lot of our teachers have participated in multi-day, all online, of course, workshops. So we've learned a lot about how to engage and how to keep them engaged and connected. But what I was going to say was that those first few Zooms, they were just so happy to see each other. And I mean, that was a big loss for everybody, I think, especially when we first all closed down in March, that they didn't see one another. And so if we will figure out how to insert the Ruach, the spirit and the soul, even as we are standing there masked and the kids are at desks 6 feet apart, we will be able to do that. Things like, just so you know, I'm just going to say, give you a few glimpses into part of what Jamie has been spending pretty much all summer on. Things like our building, as you know, the school wing, those of you who do know the school wing know that we have several water fountains, which are quite popular during religious school hours, you can imagine. But they're going to be covered up, and that's like, a big no-no. We will have water in the kitchen or some area, but we will ask, to please send water bottles. A lot of kids come with their own water bottles already, but they can't share them, obviously. Things like kippot and other kinds of personal items, we will ask for them to bring, but we will also have extra, just like we'll have extra masks if need be. Things like art supplies and other kinds of issues that are really, really the concrete, the tachlis stuff that happen for when you're dealing with a classroom. We will have separate pieces. I've already heard that we don't have to disinfect if they're only using them once a week. We're going to follow guidelines, but make sure that the books they use, that, and then we put them away, or the markers they use, they're not going to share, things like that during the day. There are lots of little minutia that every time we think of it, something else comes up.
How do you plan to enforce masking?
Was that you, Alana? Because it was like a delay in the, yeah?
Wondering how you enforcing
So
masking.
the way we would, I will take this very seriously, and I've mentioned this to a few parents already, and I will train the teachers. First of all, the teachers want the kids in masks too, and I just feel like David and I've talked about how we're going to be basically, in some ways, walking around the hall, being especially at the beginning, enforcing it. I will end up, if a child refuses, then that's a conversation with a parent, because that's a matter of public health and all of us. I assume they will be accustomed to wearing masks and listening to rules of wearing masks in school if they are enforced in school. But I feel very strongly, not just for the children, the other children, but for the teachers and for myself, we don't want to feel like we're putting ourselves at undue risk by being there.
Thank you.
And as I've shared with Rabbi Roth, one of the things I do, I'm a volunteer medic. So I feel I'm in a unique position to have conversations about the necessity of the masks and why they are so important. So if a child is resistant, I think our tendency is to have a conversation before coming down really hard. But bottom line is, people have to wear masks.
Thank you.
Any questions? We have a few dates that I'll throw out, and you're going to hear more about them. You know, of course, we usually have a whole packet that we're working on. It's just going to be a little bit different in terms of what parents get in the mail. But I would say if you're ready to register, some of you already are registered, please send it in because we're really trying to figure out which, we're not going to be using every single classroom. So we need to figure out the logistics of the classroom, the logistics of the teacher hiring. And it's just better in general for us to know, as it's already the end of August. Our first day of school is going to be Sunday, September 13th. That's for kindergarten, first, second, third grade. And the 15th, the Tuesday, will be the first day for fourth, fifth, and sixth. So prior to that, you'll get all the information that you need, hopefully, but we need to have it. If you have any questions about the building itself, how it is being maintained, how it is being disinfected, how it is being sanitized, Jamie is here. Jamie can answer any of your questions, but just suffice it to say that he has spent a lot of time with our maintenance staff and new equipment and new cleaning supplies and new training. And well, we are all taking it very seriously, that in between use, because our rooms get used by our early childhood program, and sometimes pretty much that's it right now. There will be a complete overhaul of the rooms, and besides that, furniture gets moved in. All of the other pieces that need to happen will. Jamie, do you have anything to add about that?
Thanks, Rabbi Roth. Basically, just the number of cleaning procedures we've learned with CDC guidelines. I believe Ms. Verkman, I was talking with Gabby, who came by earlier. It's an incredible world of difference, learning the difference between sanitization and disinfecting. There's all new procedures. The custodians are an incredible team who have been working about cleaning between schedules, detailing, touch points, and then the disinfecting, and then the time period that has to be separated between. All of this is going to be monitored and in control. And if anybody ever has any concerns or sees something, I just listed my email address and phone number in the chat box. Please feel free to reach me directly anytime, day or night, and WhatsApp, text, call the office. I'm always around, and we're just going to keep doing our best and go with the flow. Thanks.
On Tuesday, September 8th, you're going to get multiple emails about this. Between 3:30 and 5, we're going to have sort of like you'll have to sign up for this, but I'll tell you, like, ice cream in the parking lot, artwork in the parking lot. Bring your form if you haven't already, although we want it before that, and just another meet and greet. Say hi to us, to David, to me, to the various clergy from the synagogues, as just sort of like a welcome back, a welcome back to school kind of 2020 style, which is in a more controlled environment, and we would have to have a sign up for that, because that's part of what any kind of in-person situation at Temple Israel is going on right now, but that it's part of a celebration. So I'm opening up the floor to questions or comments, or I'll just say, if you're not sure you want to ask the question now, or if there's a concern or a thought you have about your particular child and you want to reach out to me privately, you should all have my email, but I'll put it in the chat as well.
And of course, if you have a specific question for me or anything I can do to help, I'm working very, very closely. I'm very grateful to be under the guidance of Rabbi Roth. I think we're going to have a fantastic program, but I'm available to you anytime as well. And Rabbi Roth, if you want to throw my email in along with yours, if that's helpful, that would be great.
Yeah, but you have to remind me what that is. So.
Or I will then.
Why don't you do it in the chat, because it just pops up naturally. I don't remember what it is. Thank you. I really appreciate those of you, oh, I see a hand up. Okay. But I don't know who ALNK is.
It's Amy Case, Rabbi Roth.
Amy! Yeah, what about the Mets? We'll talk about that separately. Okay.
Oh gosh, yeah, that's terrible. But I just wanted to make sure that I understood. So the Sunday class is going to start Sunday the 13th. The Tuesday class won't have any remote learning on that first Sunday, and it will be just they will have their first day on the Tuesday.
Yeah, well, actually, I'm glad you said that, because I don't think I said that clearly. That is because I probably need all hands on deck on that first Sunday. I would say that is probably 99% the case. But this is how the tutoring is going to work. The online 2 kids with 1 teacher is that your teacher will. I'm assuming it may not be before a week before, based on when we have everybody's class put together, and your teacher will contact you and say, hi, I'm your child's tutor, and I would like to arrange that we meet on Sunday at 10 a.m. And here's the link, and we'll start. Now, I'm just giving you also fair warning that Sundays after the 13th are pretty much non-existent because of Rosh Hashanah, Erev Yom Kippur, then it's Sukkot. I mean, that's what it would be if we were in person 2 days a week also. It's just, this is, the calendar, the Jewish holidays, they're never convenient, So, but you'll know what your slot is. And if for some reason, it'll be kind of like a private slot between you, the other family, and the teacher. And if for some reason you say, can we change it 1 week or whatever, that's between the 3 of you to make it, that would be okay. Sometimes I think that parents just wanted to know a neighborhood of when it might be so you can plan. It's somewhere, as of now, I would say it's somewhere during the time period where your child would have been in school on Sunday morning or Tuesday afternoon, depending on the age.
Got it. Thanks.
Sure. Jamie?
I may have missed, did you mention our new tent?
I mentioned it quickly, but I know how proud you are of it, so you might want to.
We have a brand new 4,000 square foot tent that we're keeping.
Gorgeous. It's amazing.
It's huge.
It's huge.
It's really big.
We're going to be keeping that through probably until it gets too cold to go outside anymore. So a lot of things are going to be happening.
Yes.
The tent will be where it's happening as frequently as possible. We have lots of other pop-up tents as well that we're going to use in other areas, since
Yes.
outside is safer than in. So it's kind of fun. Somebody just posted about the ice cream in the parking lot. I'm hoping ice cream gets off of AstroTurf easily. So that's all I'm saying. And thank you.
Everything but ground balls come up off of AstroTurf.
Oh.
Oh, right. There's AstroTurf. I saw that. I was there today. I saw the huge tent, and I got a sense that we could fit several different groups there at the same time if need be. It's very big. Seth.
Hey, hi everybody. My name is Seth Carpillo. I know there's a lot of new faces I haven't seen. So the parent of two children in the religious school. I guess the 10 was kind of a part 2 question, but that you kind of just answered, Rabbi Roth. Like, I was just wondering if you were thinking of maybe using the 10, because I think in some of the emails I saw from Temple Israel that the number was around 50 or something that they were thinking for services. So I was wondering if you.
Oh,
Really,
Yeah.
my part one question, I joined a little late, so I apologize, but I think I missed what you addressed at the very beginning, but what were you thinking in terms of like, I know you don't know who's signing up for the school, but like, what were you thinking in terms of like in-person number of students per class? And were you using like, are you using like the third floor classroom? Are you like using every, like all hands, like every space in the building type of thing? Or I was just kind of,
Okay, good. Actually, I didn't say that, so I'm glad you asked that. So I'll address that first, and then I'll talk about the tent. No, we're Jamie and Lester, the head of our whole maintenance crew, spent time measuring and figuring out, doing like a sample setup in one of the classrooms, because the classrooms the desks have to be 6 feet apart. Anyway, so it's doable. We're not using every single classroom. I don't know how many we're using yet. It depends on how many I need. It could be we're using close to it. Several of them are too small. Like to have 6 feet apart, we could probably fit 4 kids. But most of them are pretty good. If we needed to use the multi-purpose room, we're not needing to use the third floor. The third floor will be tricky because it is used till 4 o'clock. And then it would have to be sanitized and, disinfected and all of the stuff that has to happen. But the idea was not to shove as many people in the building as possible. It was to have as many people in the building that made sense within all of our restrictions and the social distancing. And so that was part of it. So classes will be no more than 10 children. And depending on, like, if we had 17 in a grade, so the classes will be, 2 classes will be fewer than 10 kids. And so there are grades that I'm not sure yet how many classes, because we do have nice registration coming in, but it's across the board spotty. And I'm every year, I count on people that they are coming back. But I know that this year that people have a lot of questions, and that's why I'm trying to give as much information as possible. Tent, yes, as much as we can. I think we are planning to use the tent and then various other smaller tent areas because I think outdoor as much as possible. I'm not transforming them into outdoor classrooms, but there'll be chairs. And they'll either go out as for a half-hour break from the classroom to continue their conversation, or also when we do tefillah, which is when every class has some kind of prayer component. And it used to be with a whole bunch of classes together. So it's not going to be with a whole bunch of classes together, but it might be 1 or 2. But if they're in the big tent, it can be 1 or 2 spaced out. And if it's in a smaller tent, it will be probably 1, but yes, I'm really hopeful that we'll use the outdoor space as best as we can and for as long as we can.
Thank you. Thanks, Rebecca.
Wow, this is a quiet group, and I know some of you. Anybody else have questions, comments, thoughts? Well, I thank you for your time, and I thank you for coming, and I thank Rabbi Tara and Jamie, Rachel Geula, the Vice President of Education, and David, of course. We're in touch all the time about every single detail, and Carol, and I thank you, Carol, too. She came back on the screen. Please, I guess my appeal is if you're not sure, reach out to me so we can talk it through. If you are sure and you're ready to sign up, please sign up so we can shuffle things around the way we need to and help plan. And either way, I would just like to hear from you and know if you're a Beth El family and you don't know me and you'd rather reach out to David or Rabbi Tara because you have questions or concerns, I really would like to hear from you, them to hear from you as well. The main thing is that we think we have a good plan. I think this is our best plan for where we are now, and it will be great. There's a lot of exciting stuff. I get energy from being near your children. I don't know how many of you came that day on Erev Shavuot. We did in May, drive by and get ice cream. That kept me going for days, and that was just drive by. So when they're coming into the building, and even though our faces are going to be covered, I do think there will be a lot of excitement for the kids who are returning to come back, excitement for the kids for whom this is new, because let's face it, they haven't been in school since March. So all of this is exciting, and we're embarking on something new, and I think we're very optimistic. There's a lot of new, and all along with the great unknown, which is hovering over my shoulder every day, there is the excitement of what we do know. So I do hope that if any of you have concerns or questions, you will reach out to me. And thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for all your work, Rabbi Roth. You're doing great.
Thanks. I look forward to seeing all of you in person, even if it's as you're dropping off your child. And, wish you all Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Rabbi Roth. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Shabbat
everyone.
Shalom.
Excellent.
Go Islanders.